Yeah! Woo! Hey everyone! Birthday Day Tano here, internet's busiest rap battle fan. And today we are looking at Eddiefrb's Light Yagami versus Monika.
Light versus Monika is not that great, bro. Like, honestly, am I the only one who thinks this? It already gets so much praise. Like, what more could you say about the battle that isn't just like sucking up to Eddiefrb? Ooh, look at me, I'm Eddie. I'm so cool, I make good battles.
Sorry, that's my roommate Kyle. He doesn't like Yagami versus Monika that much because it beat the premiere of his series, Full Ass Rap Battles. And you know, I still think your battle's pretty good, Kyle.
Fuck you, dude.
Alright, whatever you say. Well, today we are reviewing quite possibly the magnum opus of best writer, community madman, and least Canadian Eddiefrb. Obviously, the highlight of this battle is its writing. I think that almost goes without saying. Every verse gets its own special highlight moment. Like in verse 1 from Light, he has the cleanse crime, ends lives rhyme scheme, which I think is the best spot and a real standout from that verse. In Monika's first verse, it is obviously the roses are red, violets are blue section, where that same rhyme scheme carries on for, I believe, 8 lines, which is incredibly impressive. You also have Light's second verse with the bimbo sleaze fast rap. The amount of syllables that Eddie throws in there with the continuing rhyme scheme without it ever feeling like just word fodder, even though I'm sure to some of you it might. And of course, Monika's iconic time signature change. It's not the first time, I think, or not the last time, that anyone has done 3-4 in a battle, but it is quite possibly the best implementation because Eddie just has that well of an understanding of writing, and it is truly impressive. Almost every 4 lines feel like its own miniature rhyme scheme in this battle. It feels like everything has this really great flowing nature where it's digestible in small blocks, but it all comes together as this one just behemoth of a battle as well. Not to mention that I think the character writing in this battle is also extremely impressive. I think the bit where Light writes Monika's name in the death note and then 40 seconds later her verse starts and she's not dead and that freaks Light out. That's really great. And the fact that he gets foiled because Monika's actual name is Monika.chr is also extremely clever. I also think the inclusion of RYUK was really interesting and added a nice bit of dynamic to Light, who's already a very dynamic character in this battle. However, I do have some flaws with the writing. Personally, I think that Monika has a couple of moments that I would call pretty cheesy, pretty corny. I think the DDLC rhyme scheme in her first verse was it's pretty close to the low-key thing that we talked about in the Fallful review. It's done better, but I still think it's pretty cheesy to have, you know, the DDLCs or plus the DLC. Netflix DLC?
See, you just pointed out a flaw. It's not that good. See, it clearly has flaws. Like, I'm just gonna say, and I know that not everybody thinks this, it's just my opinion, but I think the battle's mid.
Well, not quite. I still think the rhyme scheme is clever, and it's a good rhyme scheme. I just think that it's a bit of a cheesy thing. Same with when Monika calls Light homie. I'm no expert on Monika DDLC, but her saying homie to Light Yagami might be one of the dumber things I've seen in the past year of rap battles or so. That being said, there are other more like quote drops that don't actually feel as cheesy. I think the welcome to the club thing, you gently open the door, those I think are pretty good. I'm not super familiar with Death Note actually, so I don't know if there's any specific name like or quote drops in there. I do know the computer chip and delete it is again really dramatic but like really goofy, but I say it's a bit more goofy in the positive sense where I got a good laugh out of hearing him say that. Speaking of the delivery, let's talk about the audio, specifically starting with Iris as Light Yagami, the standout of the two performances, or I guess if you include Dustin 3. But the standout of the performances in this battle. It is very thoughtful. It starts very thoughtfully in both verses, and then it peaks to a very dramatic and intense performance that I think is both insanely well directed and insanely well delivered, to where you feel the curve of insanity start to kind of draw on Light. And yeah, it's just an extremely engaging performance from Iris, and truly worth, I think, all the other candidates that I believe Eddie looked through for the role. I think it goes without saying that their fast rap in verse 2 is one of the most impressive bits of rapping that even people who are trying to cover the battle, I think, haven't quite fully nailed that same high energy, perfect delivery, perfect pronunciation of all the words that Iris did, which, again, massive props to them for this performance. On the other hand, we have Azia, who delivers, admittedly, a bit of a pretty normal performance. It is just her voice, but a bit more timid, a bit more whispery, a bit more soft than a performance usually is in a rap battle. But I think it's done well to contrast against Light, and again, his more dramatic, aggressive performance, to have Azia, who's more calm and collected. And again, her rapping is still pretty impressive. I think her delivering that 3-4 section is probably again better than anyone who I've seen cover the battle.
Yeah, Azia is awesome. She's always a win, dude. I paid her $700 to play Mikan Sumiki against Yuri DDLC in my rap battle, and she's gonna kill it, bro.
Well, I'm glad we agree on something. And Dustin's RYUK is also pretty good. You know, it's there for a pretty short time, but his impression is very well. And, you know, he's also very intense in the role, and he's just obviously having fun with it. So, you know, there's that to appreciate. The beat of this battle is something that I honestly don't think gets enough appreciation, weirdly enough. It is dramatic. It is intense. It has all these choirs and strings and bits that come together, and these cymbals and the drums that just kind of, like, mix into this almost like cacophony of just intense vibes that really helps elevate the battle in its more dramatic parts. And it is also able to calm down, I think, like the beat boops in Monika's verses, and the just bass beat itself without any of the more dramatic parts like the choir and the strings is still pretty catchy, and again helps balance out that intensity. There's a good balance to everything, essentially, which is what I can say about a lot of this battle.
When are you gonna review something that, like, people actually want to see you talk about? Like Gun vs. Knife. Like, people are asking for your thoughts on Gun vs. Knife, and you're talking about some random other battle, dude.
The video itself is pretty great. It might be the weakest part of it, but I don't know if that's a fair thing to say when the other parts of it are as strong as it is. Rabi's editing is always really impressive, and there's some neat visuals here, like the, I believe, MS Paint section with Monika. It still does stuff that hasn't been done in other TDLC battles, which, you know, is always good to see, that Rabi isn't running out of ideas, or that Eddie isn't running out of ideas when he's directing him. Eddie's AMV editing is admittedly fairly simple. It is just clips from the anime, but it's done in a pretty well succinct manner. And even then, there's just a lot of good storyboarding and a lot of good clip choosing, to where you don't notice that there isn't a lot of actual, like, you know, flashy editing going on. It's just Eddie really utilizing his knowledge of Death Note to make the video engaging with his own abilities. The trip art is another standout. I love just all the poses that Eddie got, and the fact that some are for very scene-specific things. I love when creators take that extra step to do something like that, like the standoff on the rooftop, and again, the part where Light is very confused, and we see into RYUK's vision of Monika's name and her death date, I believe, is how that works in Death Note. I don't watch Death Note, but yeah, it's all done very impressively, and this video is still pretty impressive, even if I just said that it's like the weakest part of this project.
Now, I know this is gonna sound like a bit and like I'm joking, but, you know, I think I'm fair to say that the rock cut of this battle is better. Like, I get more enjoyment watching just the rock cut than, you know, all of Monika versus Light, so maybe that's just me.
Overall, I think this battle is pretty close to being like peak of the orchestra battles, at least of its time. It is probably definitely the peak of orchestra battles. Eddie is just absolutely flexing how good he is at this stuff and just being absolutely impressive with almost every area of the battle. Any flaws that I or someone else may have can almost always be of personal taste. I think even the detractors of this battle can understand that it is still immensely impressive of a project. The only downside to this project overall, I could even say, is that it feels a little daunting probably for casual ERB fans who want to check out the rap battle scene. And since this is already so iconic, them checking out this super long, super like in your face battle might be a bit much for them. But even then, I think if you dig into the community enough, once you've been in the community for enough, like even 6 months, you will probably be able to just fully understand how amazing of a project this is.
Don't give it a 10. Don't give it a 10. Please, 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 please. Oh God, please don't give it a 10. Oh, do not give it a 10. Do not give it a 10.
I think I'm going to give this battle a light to decent 10.
Fuck!
Transition. Did you give this battle a listen? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best. You're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or hit the link to subscribe to the channel. Birthday Day Tano with Light versus Monika forever.